Hey, this is James Pelton, and I wanted to talk to you. You know, I'm a big fan of the Constellation ecosystem and specifically the BioFi ecosystem. BioFi, they're working on using biometrics and the blockchain. And one of the big things that we're looking forward to in the BioFi ecosystem is they're coming out with the first, at least the first that I've heard, blockchain phone. Okay, it's called the Phenix X1, and we have some details about this phone. So it's a high-end Android phone. I have an AMA with the team here that I'd like to show you, but again, I'll do my TLDR here at the beginning in case you're not able to watch the whole thing. It's called the Phenix X1 for now, but that name is up for debate. So if you'd like it to be called something else, they're talking through that. Basically, how this phone works is there's going to be two sides to it. It's an Android phone, and they say it's going to be able to compete with all the high-end Android phones that there currently are. And you're going to have one operating system, which is just like a normal phone. You can see it here on the right, but it's just like any other Android phone that you might get, high-end Android phone. But then there's also a second operating system where you can kind of switch your phone into like private mode, which means it's basically encrypting all your data. There's a special SIM card that everything's encrypted, and we talk about that in the AMA a little bit. And then also it's directly connected to the blockchain. So you can have your wallet hooked up directly there, and it's all completely encrypted and completely secure. So just very unique. And I think this is the type of phone that crypto users in particular are going to want to have. So they're also working with the Constellation network. So each phone is going to have part of a DAG node on it. So, you need 250,000 DAG to have a node, and then you get rewards for having that node. Each Phenix phone is going to be backed by a DAG node. So when you buy one, you can leave your phone plugged in at night, and it will be a DAG node validating transactions through the night. It'll be part of the hypergraph, and you get rewards for that. So really, buying this phone will get you passive income just from owning it. We don't have all the details. I don't have my spreadsheet yet of how exactly the finances of that are going to work. But I think that's pretty cool. There's no other phone that's going to be backed by a DAG node. So I'm excited for that. And then BioFi has found this niche in Africa. So obviously that's where the phone's going to, I think, first be. Android is a lot bigger. In Africa, they don't have as many iPhones. So I think that this will be a really popular phone in Africa. But they also are talking with Verizon, and it looks like Verizon's going to carry this phone. So we'll have some US adoption as well. So all in all, very cool. I think this is very bullish for BioFi holders. The one negative is it's not set to be released until Q4 of 2023. So we have about a year to wait for it. But again, it's one of those things where you'd rather see them wait and get it right than rush it out super fast. So keep this on the horizon. But yeah, here's my full AMA. If you want more details, they show the phone and show some of the features of the phone live. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, here's my AMA with both the team from BioFi and also the team from Zariot to talk about their secure SIM card that they're going to be using in this phone. So enjoy. Thanks. All right, this is James Pelton, and I'm here. Three faces that you've seen so many times, you might start thinking it's actually their YouTube channel. We have Steven, Brian, and Chris from the Finovant team. And then we have a guest today, Jimmy Jones from the Zariot team. And we're going to talk today. This has been something that every time I do a BioFi video, I get asked about this, and I don't normally have the answers. So I'm excited to talk about this. We're going to talk a little bit about the phone today that the Finovant team is coming out with. So maybe before we start, again, Steven, Brian, and Chris, we need no introduction from you. But Jimmy, maybe we could start with an introduction from you and what Zariot does and how they fit into this.
Yeah, sure. So Zariot are a MVNO, so a cellular communications provider specializing in IoT, but with a particular focus on security and being able to give flexibility to the market. What we're trying to do is we're trying to turn that connectivity piece that's integral within IoT, we're trying to open that up so we can start to build end-to-end. So with a device that Finovant has and with the back ends that they have full control there. We're trying to open up that middle section to allow a cohesive end-to-end solution, particularly around security, which is with Finovant very important because of the nature of their business, but also to be able to support everything. I work there as the head of security, so I tend to be touching different elements. But that end-to-end story, particularly on the security, is something that I'm very passionate about and something that I'm heavily involved with.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and I'm excited about the phone. I think especially for crypto people, it's rare for crypto people to see something that you can actually hold in your. They're used to everything being digital, everything being just ethereal, and it's out there and you can't actually see it. So I think people are excited for crypto company to have something tangible. So can you tell me a little bit about the phone and maybe what are you excited about this phone?
Okay, I'll jump in on that one. There's a lot to be excited about on the Phenix X1, and I'll be demonstrating the original version, which is now being re-engineered to be the new device that will come out sometime next year. But other than being a really nice looking high-end Android device, it's got a couple key features in it. The first being that it holds two SIM cards, and we can talk with Jimmy about that in a little more detail, but we can have a Zariot secure SIM card in there, which means that all data on that SIM is encrypted from end to end. So that in the crypto space, and anybody who wants to protect their financial information, is really important. It's really a great feature. The other thing, it's got the two sides, right? So that not only does it have two SIM cards, but it's got two operating systems, if you want to look at it that way. And what I'll show today is the public side, which I use on my iPhone today. It's a regular device. It's got all the features and apps that you want on it, but then you can transition over to what we call the private side. And you can call it whatever you want, but it's a more secure side that's got an extra security chip involved. So as you transition over to that side is unique, and that side you can use the encrypted SIM, and you can keep all of your important data, whether it's crypto, whether it's just regular photos, whatever it is, you can keep on that side and keep it all encrypted. So those are the key things, and other than it just being a great looking device.
Yeah, and I would throw in there, James, that the phone is an amazing array of technology. It's just incredible. When we talk about the re-engineering effort for this, it's being upgraded for 5G, which is becoming a more of a global standard. And it has and because when you go to 5G, you have to have more battery, a larger battery. The battery will be much more robust in the next version, and it'll have the traditional security framework, which is both from a software and a hardware perspective. So it has a special security chip embedded in the device such that your passwords don't end up in memory. They actually get stored on a chip. So it really helps to ensure that you're not going to be hacked or your information is not going to be stolen. All the software can be preloaded on this, James. Every single app that is either node mining, a wallet related, your password manager, UniSafeBox, all of these kind of things can be loaded on there. All of Providence's apps can be loaded on here and made available on the phone. So let's say Providence buys 1 million of these, and you're always interested in the spreadsheet. So imagine the global sales of this in the continent of Africa. This kind of device is so desirable in a place like Africa where you have all that emerging technology and there's so many fraudsters trying to take advantage of that. This will help so many people. Built around the BioFi token and the BioFi ecosystem, it fits nicely in that spreadsheet that you're keeping track of.
Nice. So you know how to get me excited about something. You start talking about the spreadsheets and the numbers. So I think a lot of people don't give a lot of thought to their data security, like on their phone. They're just putting passwords and saving credit card information and whatever on there. Could you maybe give an example of how like a traditional phone that we're used to could be compromised or data could be stolen off there, and how this phone would protect you from that same kind of attack?
Sure, exactly. Just what I'm saying about having the special security chip, that doesn't come standard in any device you get today. That's engineered into this device. And it's done that way specifically to make sure that your information will be safe. Plus, it has all of the biometrics built into this. So you've got your face and you've got your voice. And imagine that, not only at the level of starting up the device, but at the point that you actually activate your wallet, you want to move around some money, you want to pay a bill, maybe you're changing your address, opening a new account. Do you want somebody to do that in your name? Do you want somebody to take your information and try to steal your identity and take money that you've saved your whole life? That's what this device and that software will prevent from happening. And it's going to help so many people. And it's just a beautiful technology. And if you take a look at the form and the factor on this, it's got this beautiful liquid metal and the Gorilla Glass. It's super thin. And it's got excellent cameras. All the cameras will be upgraded in the next version, but it just feels great. It's a beautiful device.
Very cool. Can I ask, do you feel like, and you might be biased, obviously, since it's your phone, but do you feel like this type of phone can compete like with an iPhone or with an S20 or whatever the other phones on the market, or are you taking a hit in performance in order to get that extra?
It'll definitely compete. We've spent a lot of time already building this out. And so a lot of the work, the groundwork has already happened in putting this together. And it's great relationships like with Zariot. Stefan came from Zariot, by the way. That was part of his past. So it's a wonderful, in fact, we were working with him initially coming up with the right security package for the device. And it was at that point that we were really talking to Zariot about getting the secure SIM in there. But definitely this will compete at a regional level and a national level and a global level with both Apple and the other products that are out there. You've got the Oppo phone, Xiaomi, and these are different classes of products, Chinese made, South Korean, US, and they come from different perspectives. But this one solves a different problem. It's really focused on security. It's really focused on helping the participants in the ecosystem. It's going to come preloaded with a lot of specialized software and security, which you just don't see in those other platforms. They aren't made this way and they aren't focused in this direction.
Okay. And then, Jimmy, since we have you here, could you tell us how that's, again, I don't think people understand SIM technology or what a secure SIM card means or anything like that. Probably most of my audience doesn't even know what a SIM card is. So could you explain how what you guys do makes this more secure and is better than just like what I might have on my normal iPhone Verizon SIM card?
Sure. So there's a number of different elements that help us secure the cellular access. So cellular, before I start, cellular is the most secure way to connect the Internet of Things. So that's the starting point. But you'll still remember just a couple of years ago, there was a big media fuss around global tracking of people, intercepting of SMS and two-factor authentication, things like that. All of those are elements of the mobile networks that can be exploited. Your major players, AT&T, Vodafone, they put a lot of money into defending against that, and so did we actually. So we have the same level of security or similar level of security that they have. We know I used to sell the security to those companies, so I know the what they have implemented, and we have very similar within Zariot. The difference being is we're a much smaller organisation. It makes us much more agile. So what we can do now is we can take that secure core and we can start building it out, because the way we look at our role is we need to be supporting the whole of the ecosystem. People like Finovant, people who are pushing the boundaries, people who are making solutions that are really cutting edge, or bleeding edge. That's the people we need to be looking after. So we need to be agile with that. So once we built out the core telco technologies, we started looking at the SIM, because everybody connecting to us uses a SIM. You've seen the plastic SIMs that you have in your phones or the embedded SIMs that you now have in new iPhones and newer phones. We have the ability to actually be able to adapt those for your product. So we can store safely information in there, maybe like the ledger for a blockchain or the keys for encryption. We can use that, and the SIM becomes a root of trust. A similar way to a TPM. In fact, a TPM and a SIM, hardware-wise, they're exactly the same, different firmware. So we're utilizing that element to be able to expand our touch. So we think you have to be able to address the device, the application, and the network. So we say if you don't know the DNA, device network application, then you can't secure your network. That's what we're doing. We're opening up that network tier to be able to really build an end-to-end solution. So that's our goal, really. And then we can add things on top of that with analytics, and we've got some AI and ML analytics going on in our core as well. And the other final point is the coverage. We're a MVNO, so we're a virtual network operator that's connected globally. So we have access to over 800 mobile operators. So that means that when we're in the US, for instance, we can jump onto AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. So if you're in that weird place somewhere in the countryside and you can only get a signal from one, then that's okay. We can drop onto that. So really, it's the connectivity and the security, and being able to work with people like Finovant to be able to make their product a cohesive one. That's where Zariot sits.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that connectivity one, that makes a lot of sense. So I learn by examples. I'm not like in school, I was never a good lecture listener or anything. So could you maybe give like an example of how like a traditional SIM card would not protect someone in a situation where there's an attacker of some kind, and how your SIM card would maybe protect in that situation instead?
Okay, so there's two ways of doing it. I'll concentrate on the signaling side because it's probably more interesting, and the guys at Finovant can do the device because they're better at that, I would guess. So the thing about telecoms is it's been in the ground a very long time, and a lot of the protocols we're still using are legacy. They go back in SS7, which is still core in many networks. It goes back to the 1970s, 1980s. It wasn't designed to be on IP. It was designed to be connected together point to point. Around about the year 2000, that changed, and we moved away from that technology point to IP, which made perfect sense. But what it did is it took these protocols that were once completely air-gapped and it put them on an IP platform. The other thing that happens at the same time is there was an explosion in the number of telecoms companies. So I mentioned there's over 800 that we're connected to. All of those telecoms companies need to be able to communicate. You can't have 800 individual connections, so they use hubs. And there's about 4 or 5 of them globally. What that means is if I can compromise any of those 800 operators, I can send a message to you. So if you don't protect your network, then you have a problem. If I, for instance, I'm going to go technical now, but I can send a message, and if I craft it in the right way and the network isn't fully protected, I can get your IMSI, your network identifier. And I can get to that from just having your card or the telephone number of your device. So if I can send that message to your home network, they'll respond with the IMSI. And at that point, I can start to do lots of things. In fact, I can actually send a roaming request, and you wouldn't believe it, but if your network is not protected, it doesn't even get challenged. So I can say, okay, that device now lives on Jimmy Jones's network. What does that mean to you? What it means to you is if I'm on your bank account and I've just sent an SMS as a 2-factor authentication, I'm just about to be texted from your bank the code to take out your money. So that's what it means. And that's available anywhere in the world. Any way you can get onto that hub. And you don't have to compromise those networks yourself. You can just go onto the dark web. And last time I looked, it was around about $400 to get access.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is hackers are always catching up to the security that we put in place. Can you talk about what the target market is for the phone? Do you see, obviously, the African market, because you have those partnerships already there? Do you see going after the US market and trying to partner with Verizon? Or are you just going to start in Africa? Or what's the plan for marketing with this?
Yeah, I'll jump in just for a minute and then I'll turn it over to Stefan. Verizon's an interesting case because the way the engineering process works on this, James, is that once you complete your design and you have a version of the device which is ready for certification, it actually goes to those markets where you want to sell it, like Europe. Europe has a separate certification than the United States. Canada has a separate certification than the United States. But when it does get to the United States and you do get it certified by the government, the only other layer that you have to go through here is Verizon. And we do have a contract with Verizon for the certification and for working with them to have the phones sold at their locations. So that is a contract we have in place. We've been working with them, and they're the only mobile operator in the United States that requires a separate certification from the government. So it is an interesting difference. The European certification seems to go the quickest from the past experience. And as far as Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Stefan, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose having a partner like Zariot gives us global connectivity. So there's 800 providers. There's, I don't know how many countries there is within that, but there's absolutely global coverage within there. There's only about 2 or 3 countries on the planet that they don't have connectivity in. So can you imagine giving this device to a currency trader and he is buying his crypto online and he's able to have it fully encrypted any particular stage, no matter where he is, whether he's on a lovely yacht or he's in his holiday home or whether he's just traveling and doing business. This device will work absolutely everywhere, and the encryption and the secure SIM will work everywhere from there.
Pre-installed secure, because I think people get an iPhone, they're like, okay, I'm going to do crypto, I need to make it secure, and then they have to try to research, okay, how do I make it secure? And it'd be nice, hey, just out of the box, you know that this is going to be secure, you're able to do what you want to do with it and not worry about your data. So very cool from the phone visually that we can get. And if not, I will just edit out this question.
No, I can do that, James. I'll do a quick demo on a couple of different things, but I just wanted to follow up on something you said. You may not have realized you did this, but you made a great pitch for biometrics a couple minutes ago. When you're talking about the transition from passwords to more complex passwords, well, that solved the problem on one end, it created another one. And another one is with those complex passwords, people write them down because they can't remember them. They're not just your dog's name or something like that. It now has a lot of random characters in it, so they have to write them down. So what does that do? It forced them to put them in an unsecure place, possibly reuse them, so I don't have to have 100 different very complex passwords. I have one. So if one gets compromised, it's now compromised across a lot of different entrance points. So biometrics now steps in and takes that place, and it can't be compromised because it's not written down on a legal pad somewhere, and someone can come into your home or steal your briefcase and they have every password that you own. So biometrics, thank you, James, for making that pitch for us without realizing it.
Hey, you are welcome. Biometric pitches just ooze out of me. How excited I am about this.
All right, so I am going to connect. I'm using a program to do a screen share. James, I hope this works with what you're using here. Let me know if there's anything you need me to do that's extra. So give me a moment to share this with you.
If you haven't shared before, it might ask you to give Chrome permission.
Okay, I think I've got it.
There you go. Look at that, the tech guy.
All righty, so this is my connected desktop. It's hard to see, unfortunately, but this is what you're seeing is my Phenix X1. I wish I could give you a better view of it. It's really a gorgeous device, but we have pictures of it on the website if you really want to look carefully for it. So this is it. You can see I have both UniSafeBox and Cryptic Wallet loaded on it. It holds anything. This is the regular, what we call the public side. This is my public side on this device. It's got all my calendar apps and everything on here. So what I'll do is I'll show you Cryptic Wallet very quickly, and then I'll show UniSafeBox quickly, and then I'll show the transition over to the other side of the device. So first, Cryptic Wallet is all set up. So how you see the biometrics work? There. That's how easy it is to get into the device. Now, on this device, just so that people know, when we do a screen share, the microphone often competes. So I only have it set up for face authentication right now. That's why I didn't speak a password. It works better for demos. With voice and face, it will fail. It won't authenticate me because the microphone doesn't work properly. You have in the device, you have any tokens that you want to have there. You certainly have market overviews. There's tons of information. There's a Discover tab where you can check out all your Web3 apps. And in settings, you have control over all of your different wallets. You can see all the different networks that you can have wallets on. You have control over your security. So you can go back in and change. You have 3 options. We've always recommend voice and face, but you can use just face or just voice depending on the environment you're in. You may work at a nightclub and it's too dark. You can't get a good face recognition, but you could use your voice. I don't know if that works in nightclubs because it might be loud, but you get the idea. Depending on your environment, you can pick a different mode of operating. So it's chock full of information. You can have watch lists, so you can go by volume, whatever you like. You can spend a lot of time in here learning a lot, doing a lot of research. And again, you can switch from wallet to see what it looks like, different tokens that you have, and so on that you're following. Okay, so that's this one. That's the Cryptic Wallet. SafeBox is set up a little bit differently, but what you'll see is it's going to go through the visual biometric. You won't see it on the screen. And it uses a pattern recognition. So you have to do both to get in. And once you do both, and then it connects to the blockchain. Because remember, UniSafeBox is a blockchain-based solution. So everything that you use will be stored on the blockchain. And you can store in passwords, bank cards, your seed phrases, or even just files. So right now it's empty because I've been doing a lot of testing and I've been loading the latest version. So there's nothing in there at the moment. That's how that one works. And what everyone probably wants to see is the switch to the private side. So in the middle here, we have what looks like a little token or a little chip. And this one, again, because of the microphone issue, it's set up with a pin. It's not set up with voice and face because it will conflict. It will not allow me to use a screen share to get to the secure side of the phone. So I'll hit that. And we've set up the secure side just visually to look different, so it's easy to tell them apart. But you can have all your apps just like you do on the regular side of the phone. And this one is disconnected from the public side. This leverages the additional security chip and so on. So that's
this can have your Zariot SIM in here and the whole bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that will secure your data in transmission. So really, that's it in a nutshell. I don't want to take too much time for this, James. If there's something else you want to see, just let me know.
That is awesome. No, I think just seeing this is the first time I've seen like anything from the phone. So that's really exciting just to see it start to become a reality. One question that I had, do you see, I might take this out, but I'm just thinking out loud here, but do you see a use case where people, if they really like their iPhone, where they have an iPhone and one of these, or do you see a situation where that happens and it's like they have their blockchain connectivity and their normal phone or anything like that? How do you guys think through that?
Are you saying that someone who wants to perhaps use two devices?
Well, I'm just saying some people just love their iPhone. And I think it'll be hard to convince somebody, oh, get off your iPhone and get on to this. So I'm just thinking out loud of like marketing and how, do you tell crypto people you get this second phone? Or I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if you guys have thought about this or what you think about that.
If you look at the market, the concentration of devices that are out there, the majority of them are actually Android. So Android is actually the king within the market. What we will be looking to do is obviously convert Android users on here. A lot of currency traders and guys that are out there, the high-end stuff, will more than likely have more than one device out there. They keep their work and their pleasure stuff separately. As we've seen in Africa as well, there's some guys have 3 phones. And because of the networks, but they always say one for the wife, one for the girlfriend, one for work. But they do have a number of devices out there. So that is really where the market is. How hard is it going to get iPhone users? Look, I'm an iPhone user. I'm also a Phenix X1 user as well for my trading and stuff like that. So that's where we've got to obviously look at it. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering because I'm the same way. I love my iPhone. And so I was thinking like, would I want to replace my phone with this? I'm like, but I definitely want one. And so I'm just thinking through. So we'll have to just see how that plays out.
Once you use it, you won't want the iPhone anymore. That's my opinion.
Well, that might be true. That might be.
I was going to say the same thing in that once you start getting the rewards back on your node mining and it pays for itself, you're going to go, holy cow, I want 2 of these. I want 10 of them.
And maybe that might be the marketing campaign is ditching your iPhone for the Phenix. Like maybe that's a big thing where you have all these different people breaking their iPhones and grabbing the Phenix or something like that. We'll talk about that as we get further into. Okay, couple last questions here and then we'll wrap up. What does this mean for BioFi holders that this phone's coming out? Again, that's probably a lot of people who watch this are going to be, hey, we hold the BioFi token. So what does this phone coming out mean for BioFi holders?
This is an amazingly big deal. This is in the community and in the Telegram community and Discord and on Twitter. This is talked about all the time wherever we go. At the High Def event, this was a particularly exciting time for everybody to see it at that event. And it's just a wonderful device. We're just so excited, James, to talk to people about it because they give us great ideas. One of the guys, Miguel Thorpe, who came to the High Def event, super sharp, young guy in college. He just loves this technology and ideas flow out of him. He's a great guy to talk to. So many people in our community are like that, helping us, giving us ideas, thinking about ways to improve a design or improve a style or work with another provider. It's just amazing. And so it helps the community at all levels. Every person in each country and territory, this is providing real utility. It's helping them in their life. It's keeping them secure. And in the case of the node mining, it'll pay them back. So it's an amazing device.
Okay, very cool. Actually, you mentioned the node mining a couple times. Do you want to just touch on that? Because that might be a big selling point for people.
Yeah, this is a particularly important part of this. We have the Cryptic Wallet. We have the UniSafe Box Password Manager. These are apps that get loaded on there. And Stefan talked about Pedal. We have Cyberlead will be on there. And we're working with HGTP Fill, all kinds of interactions with great providers, Intel Solutions and Providence. All of those apps will be preloaded on there. So when you think about the technology and you think about the ability to be an IoT device, we work with Zariot. You can put this in a car. You can have this connected to your car. It can be connected to the drones. And in the case of the disc company, connected to the drones. And all the while, this is a node on the constellation hypergraph. So this is actually sitting behind 250,000 DAG, and it can be fractionalized. So each person who gets one of these phones can then own a piece of a DAG node. They don't have to come up with that tremendous amount of money to get a node. They can actually get a Phenix X1 and be a node on Constellation. And the beauty of that is then we can pay back rewards to that person over time. And the more they turn it on at night, they just set it by their bed, they plug it in, leave it connected to their Wi-Fi, and it's processing transactions all night long while they're sleeping. What an amazing concept. So they can wake up in the morning and make phone calls and send text messages and read a secure document after they've processed tons of transactions through the night. And while they're processing those transactions, they're getting paid back. So what an amazing concept. And that's just the start, James. The Cryptic Wallet, if it then goes on to provide loans and liquidity and do a lot of other things from an exchange perspective, now you have a full functioning financial marketplace for everybody who's using the device. What an amazing concept that is. And this provides greater utility to the ecosystem.
Yeah, very cool. That is exciting. We'll call it the passive income phone. That'll be exciting. Good selling point for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and by the way, through one of these events with you and with the community, we do want to probably rename the phone. The Phenix X1 was our first cut at naming it. And I know that a lot of people have great ideas. We started that conversation with the community. We do need to end that. And by the way, just since we didn't do introductions, traditionally, and as our tradition, we always like to say thanks. And you know this, to everybody, including you and the community, your community, the BioFi community. We really appreciate all your help and support, and just say thanks to everyone for all that you do for this community.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. Okay, as we close up here, this has been great. Super, I'm excited. I know it's a good AMA when at the end I'm like excited and my juices are flowing and ready to get moving on things. The most popular question in all of crypto, but when is this going to be available? Is it going to start in Africa? When in the US? When can I get just any when questions that you can answer?
Can we have it tomorrow, Chris?
I only wish. If I could, I'd have it. It's on our timeline. It hasn't changed on our timeline. So if you go to our website and you look at our timeline out there, it's on the timeline for fourth quarter of 2023.
Hey, this has been awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the 3 regulars. Thank you guys for your time here yet again. And Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us and just for your contribution and what you're doing. I thought what you said today was super educational too, which I think is important. I want to help people not just soak in things, but also learn why this is important, learn why a SIM card is an important piece of a phone. So thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate it. All right, I hope you enjoyed that AMA. Thanks for watching this far. Please do hit the like button. Again, I'm trying to separate BioFi. So we're so used in the crypto space to these short-term, quick passive income type. This is not that. This is the phone comes out in a year, and that's the time horizon we're looking at is a year out, 3 years out. When I talk to Brian, the CEO, he always says 10 years out is what he's really looking forward to. So that would be the same for me. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all your support. Please do hit like. I appreciate it. And have a great rest of your day. Thanks.